That should be good enough. Okay, so did we play through it spoiler-free? Well, as spoiler-free as you can for someone that's already played the game before. I did not know about the extra stuff in the game, so that was pretty interesting. You got to play as different characters in the PS3 version. They had that extra dungeon, which I don't really know how great of a dungeon it was or anything, but it had good music and it was pretty interesting looking. It just didn't add a whole lot to the story. Alright, so music rating. I'm a huge fan of violin and piano, so maybe an OST like this one sticks with me a little bit more than it does some people, but like I've said before, the thing that I focus on the most when I'm looking at an OST is how well the music just fits the game. How well, or if it did it make scenes better, did it make the experience better as a whole, and then also would I listen to any of these songs or anything like that outside of the game. And I'd say that this game has quite a few of them for me. There might be some better OSTs out there, but overall this one is about an 8 or 9 for me. I really enjoy it. The battle music, it has this epic forms in it and things like that, and it slows down a little bit. They definitely incorporate the piano, considering it's a game based around the person that plays piano and things like that. I really like it. I really do. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8. Hold on. That might be a little low. I don't know. You guys would have to tell me. Alright. Graphics for the era. There really weren't that many JRPGs out at the time for Xbox 360, and it took that cell shading approach, and I really feel like the dungeons and stuff like that and the character design and everything else is really beautiful in this game. It's just really pretty. I'd say probably the weakest thing was the character animations outside of combat and things like that. Like, all the characters kind of stood with their arms out to their sides constantly, and I'm sure that there was a design reason for that, but it gets kind of awkward in some situations, especially like when they go to do a motion and like their arms are always coming from out the side and stuff like that. It just makes it a little bit awkward here and there, but it was a really beautiful game. Probably one of the stronger points of it overall, and the music plays to it as well, like petals falling or snow falling and things like that. They like built the music around that as well, so I'm gonna go ahead and give that an 8 also. Alright, so I'm a sucker, I guess, for anything romantic. Even though like that wasn't the major headline in this game and stuff like that. It had that type of element into it, so I enjoyed that. But overall, the story, I feel like it's a little bit hard to follow. I feel like it's interesting. It's nothing inherently special or anything like that, but it's interesting. I like it. It's not something that I feel I could recommend to everybody. It's not going to hit everybody the same way, and it has a lot to do with politics, which I tend to avoid when it comes to RPGs and stuff like that, and that's like the huge like push for the game in general. But then there's this like magical element to it of just like, you know, someone having the ability to use magic and being sick, and it all being a dream and things like that, and you're left wondering the entire time, is it a dream? Even though you're outside every once in a while, seeing Chopin being on the bed and being sick and things like that, you start to wonder yourself, is this a dream? Is this reality? Are we going to find out? And it kind of gives you a reason to play, a want to play, and just something to strive for outside of like the actual story of what's going on in the game as well, which I find interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 for story. I feel like it's got a bit of work to follow, and it tends to be a little bit better if you're playing it in, you know, a quicker amount of sittings and stuff like that, because you might lose track of some of the information, especially the start of the game, because they foreshadow a lot in this game as to where it's going to go, and they intentionally show you aspects of the game that you're going to see later in flashbacks and things like that. And if you are if you're not like progressing very quickly, if you're taking a week off and then going back and playing the game, you're going to miss some of this stuff, and that can be bad, you know, plot development and stuff like that if it's hard to follow from that point. But I think the same can be said about a lot of games. Mechanics rating. I really like the battle system in this game. I like the fact that it evolves, but you're not forced to evolve. Um, Characters do lots of damage and stuff like that, so it's nice to see the numbers and everything else. Bunch of different attacks, loads of different characters to use. Healing items and stuff like that are pretty easy, even though you can only have so many equipped at a time. But the game's kind of like tactical in a way. But it takes a bit of time to get used to, and you have to get used to your character's ranges, and it's kind of, since the experience system doesn't really spread out completely, it's hard to switch off like the 3 main characters that you might normally be using or something like that. But there's a lot going on, and it's pretty simplistic. And even though it's simplistic, it can be difficult sometimes with the game. I chose not to really grind it all and avoided all the battles. I think I was a way higher level the first time I played this game than I was this time, and as you guys saw, I struggled on some of the bosses. And there are some times where I feel almost, and I can't really completely blame my controller, but my controller was having an issue where it was almost always tilting slightly up. And if you're going to play a character that has to aim constantly, you probably shouldn't be doing that. Camera angles switch in the battles sometimes to make it a little bit weird. Bigger enemies obscure your vision and things like that. You can't really see what's going on. Blocking and counterattacking, I'm sure if you spend enough time, you would get used to all of it. But you're almost always going to die at a boss the first time, unless you're just completely over-leveled, have a bunch of HP, items, defense, everything. Because you learning the timing for the boss is not as much as, oh, I heard the sound, I saw the sound, and pressing it. Because some of them, you almost have to press it right before it happens. Because the amount of time that you have to press it is so little. And then other ones, it'll pop up and it'll sit there for a while, and you can press it and it's still good to go. So I'm going to say that the mechanics are really solid in this game, but there's some stuff that could use some work, and it's definitely not going to be for everyone. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably the worst part of this game overall, and I'm going to give it a 6. Alright, the grinding rating for this game. As you guys saw, I avoided basically every encounter I could after a while. At the start of the game, I was grinding a little bit more. If there was an enemy, I fought it. End of the game, I avoided practically every battle I could. The game still forces you in a couple of encounters and bosses and stuff like that, and I think that's to get you experience that you kind of need. And when it forces those encounters on you, those mobs tend to give decent experience and money and stuff like that. So the game knows if I'm going to force encounters on you, I'm not going to just force 50 encounters on you. I'm going to force a few and you get some experience. And the battles overall are pretty quick if your characters are decent high level, and if you know your characters that you're using and things like that, and you've got decent equipment. So it's never really a slog or anything. But if you are going to die on a boss a few times, going through that entire process again and watching the attack animations and listening to their dialogues and stuff like that, it can all stack up and add to a lot of the time. So I'm going to say that although grinding was basically not forced on you at all, that there are aspects of the battle system that kind of come to a grind. So I'm going to go ahead and give that an 8. And that leaves me for an overall rating for this game. In my mind, this game is slightly above average. It's not the most amazing thing ever. It doesn't stand up to games like Chrono Trigger and stuff like that, really, that are just like a complete and full-on experience. But it's an emotional experience, and it's a ride. It's definitely something that's interesting and a lot of fun to follow, and I enjoy the characters and the historical aspects to it and things like that, and the focal point of the piano and everything else. It's like it tried something completely new that had not been done in RPGs before, which was interesting for like a Xbox 360 only release, and which of course isn't the case anymore because it's on PS3 as well. But I feel like this is a game just about anybody that's a fan of RPGs could pick up and be okay with it, unless it's people that are specifically, I'm only going to do turn-based battles and things like that. None of the dungeons are overly difficult, mobs aren't overly difficult and things like that, and if you're not like me, avoiding every single battle that you can possibly do, it's pretty easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8. It's about between a 7.5 and an 8 for me. And I'm gonna round it up because, like I said, this is my second time playing the game, and although I remember liking the battle system a lot more the first time around and than I do now, there are aspects that still stayed the same for me. It's not just nostalgia talking. I enjoyed sitting through some of the cutscenes and stuff like that again. I enjoyed like the goofy stuff between the characters and everything else. And although some of the characters' voices and stuff like that are okay, not the most amazing thing ever and things like that, it still hit me in the feels, even though I knew what was going on and things like that. So you guys all together, looking at it, looks like you guys are basically in agreement with me. You guys gave it like a 7.5, so we will round that up to an 8 as well. So will I replay this game? Back when I beat the game, I wanted to replay through it with somebody, show it to somebody and things like that. And I guess that's kind of what we did. There wasn't somebody sitting next to me playing the game at the same time, but I got to share it with all of you. So, yeah, I might replay it again. But if I do, next time around, I'm going to play it with somebody else. So, yes, but only 2 players. Alright, so when did we beat this? It's the 1st of October, guys. And it took us 25 hours, 42 minutes, and 30 seconds. And would have taken probably 5 hours less if we stopped failing miserably at fights. And, well, I guess that means you guys know what time it is now. It is Raffle time. Let me get set up. If you're new to the stream, if you came to just watch Eternal Sonata, it's my goal to play through all the JRPGs. I have a gigantic list that is right here, if you want to see it. At the end of every game that I beat, I have a review, as you guys just sat through, and I also have a raffle. Whoever wins the raffle gets to pick the next game that I play. It's as simple as that. So even if you're a person that tends to lurk and stuff like that, I highly recommend, if you love watching JRPGs, if that's why you're a part of Twitch and things like that in the first place, and there's some games on that list that you'd really, really like to see, I highly recommend that you enter. All you have to do is enter the word raffle, and you will be entered in at a chance to win. Everyone has an equal chance of winning. You can win as many times as you want. It's all up to your luck. So I'll give you guys some time there. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that Nightbot isn't able to win. In the meantime, I'll highlight that. Get this ready. I'm sure we're gonna have a few less people this time around because we're up at nearly 4 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot more people watching this earlier. I think most people didn't expect me to beat it today. I didn't expect to beat it, but that's where my stubbornness kicks in sometimes. Especially since I was still enjoying playing the game, and I don't like being beat down constantly. I feel the need to go to bed on a good note, I guess. I'm sorry, Deformed. Yeah, this might be like the earliest in the morning raffle, I'm not sure. So we won't wait quite as long for everyone. It's 3:35 for me as well, Chrono. We won't wait as long as we have in the past for people, since I think there's a bit less people in chat. But again, if you're interested in entering the raffle, I highly recommend it, guys. It's just a chance of picking a game, making it a little bit more fun for me, and maybe sharing a game that you love. It's a win-win. Yeah, sorry. Alright guys, I'll give it about another 30 seconds or so, and we'll go ahead and roll it. And I'll wish you guys all luck. Yeah, you would be right there, buddy. Well, nope. Now it's 1 and 8. Again, if anybody wants to enter, you guys got about another 20 seconds or so. All you have to do is type in the word Raffle, and if you win, you get to pick the next game. Hey, there's a potential chance that someone gets to pick 2 in a row. You've got a good opportunity here, Rufia. There's only 8 people here. Alright guys, good luck everyone. Thanks again for sticking around. I know it's early, and this is a moment that you guys have been waiting for. Good luck. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, 2 wins. Just don't pick Dark Cloud. No Dark Cloud. They're gone. They're done. You can't pick it again. Too tired to say rigged. It's not rigged. No. No more Dark Clouds. Never. I love how you have to preface that with, you probably won't like this. Is that all it's called? Magna Carta 2? It's not like something else? Yeah, it's gonna be a while before we get to it. Persona 5 is gonna take a while. I know nothing about this game either. It's gonna be completely blind for me. Alright guys, before I head out, I'm going to find somebody to host you guys with. Because, you know, that's what I do. Thanks again for sticking around for as long as you did. I really appreciate it. I know it's really early in the morning. Let's see here. Who to host? I think we'll show Mr. Solomon some love since he's up and he's playing some game that I don't know what it is. Alright guys, I'm going to send you over to Solomon. Thanks again for sticking around. I will likely, if I manage to get up at some point in time today, start Persona 5 for at least a bit. Yes, everyone's going to be like, did we miss the raffle? Solomon's a really great dude. Plays lots of different RPGs, does lots of different speedruns and things like that. So if you're not following him already, I highly recommend you do so. You'll enjoy your time there. Alright. Hi, Nikurti. You just missed it by literally like 5 minutes. Almost less than 5 minutes. I even waited extra time. Holy crap, I could have waited longer. Sorry, Nikurti. Alright, everybody. That's it for me. Have a great night, and see you later.